it's Christine Barger, and today I'm talking to you about how to be an actor and choose your acting class. Thank you so much for being here. If this is your first time tuning into my channel, please hit that subscribe button, turn those notifications so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos on how to be an actor, my other how-to videos, or my adventures with my ventriloquist friends, my little puppet friends that I take out on Fridays and we go to cool places. So that is something you don't want to miss. But right now, let's talk about acting class. I've been an actor for a really long time. You may have seen me in TV or movies, iCarly, American Pie, Dexter. There's a whole bunch of stuff. You can check my resume at IMDb if you want to make sure that I am a legitimate person who should be telling you what you should be doing in your acting career, because that is one thing that's really important, especially in choosing your acting class, is you don't want to just believe anybody. You should actually research who people are when they're talking to you and find out if they really do have the experience to give you advice. There's a lot of people giving advice, especially in Hollywood, and that's what I focus on, is the Hollywood market. That's where I live in Los Angeles. And you want to make sure that you're getting advice from the right people. So I'm actually not going to give you a list of classes. I'm going to mention some, and you can take that or leave it depending on what you're looking for. But I'm going to tell you about the kinds of classes, where to find them, and what types of things that you will probably need to learn in order to be a professional actor in the Hollywood, Los Angeles market for TV and film. If you're doing stage, first of all, Los Angeles probably isn't the best place to do that. It is not known for its major theatrical stage presentations, unless it's like the Fantages. But for the most part, I would say New York is probably your market for stage. You do want to take acting classes that will teach you presence for on stage as well as on camera. But ideally, you do want to focus on on-camera classes. So there are classes that will teach you how to be a great stage actor, and you can find those in Los Angeles, but they might teach you skills that, if you don't know the difference between the two mediums, that could really mess you up on camera. So if you're trained specifically for stage and you go into an audition and you're like, to be or not to be, then that's bad acting in general, but you get what I'm saying. You don't want to be over the top on camera, because then the camera's just like, whoa. And that is why there are different types of classes. So when you are going for TV and film, you want to focus on TV and film classes. You want to look for a good commercial class. So a commercial class is going to teach you how to do commercial auditions and do commercials. Commercials are basically just being yourself. Unfortunately, not everybody knows how to be themselves on camera. A lot of times the camera comes on and then suddenly they become something else. And so that is why it's good to find a good on-camera commercial and audition class for commercials. The one that I used to take that I really enjoyed was Chris Game. But there are a lot of good commercial classes out there. So just look online, ask your friends who are actors, and make sure that your teacher knows what they're talking about, that they either worked in commercials a lot, they were director for commercials, casting director. Chris was a casting director for commercials, or is a casting director for commercials. So he's very familiar with what they're looking for in auditions. So you want someone who really knows what they're doing, not just some random person who maybe booked one commercial once a long time ago where they were kind of in the background. That may not be the person who's the best at just telling you, how to book commercials. So that's the first type of class that I would recommend taking if you want to be an actor in LA, because your money is going to come from commercials a lot of times, a lot easier to book. You don't need as much skill as an actor to book those. You just need to be able to be a person, be a human, and do what they say. Maybe look forward, slate, turn right, turn left, whatever. And then eat ice cream well and be, funny or whatever. But as much as people say, well, I don't know, I don't want to do commercials, I'm out here to be a serious actor, like, you're going to pay your rent with commercials a lot quicker most of the time than doing just TV and film auditions and hoping you're going to hit your big break. I'm not saying that that doesn't happen. I'm just saying for the general actor community, commercials are a good way to pay the bills. Okay, so next type of class will be your improv. Improv classes are really, really important in the Los Angeles market. There's a lot of comedy shows out here that require improv. Commercials often require improv. And there are some really, really good improv comedy classes, specifically Groundlings and Second City and Comedy Sports. There are other ones out here. Those are the ones that I constantly would hear or be asked about when I was working at an agency. They were always like, well, have they done Groundlings? I used to be IO West too, but they're gone. Now, IO is a great school. It's just not here on the West Coast anymore in Los Angeles. So you can, I think, still take IO in Chicago. But check your market for those good, solid improv comedy classes that are highly recommended by a lot of people. Also in Los Angeles, you can take your first couple of classes if you just want to kind of learn the ropes and break in and you don't have a lot of money. There are actually a couple of free improv groups out here. There used to be Monkey Butler. I don't think they're around anymore, but there's one in North Hollywood that is free. You can look on Facebook and find it. Check around. And they're actually taught by really, really good teachers. I would still say go do one of the big schools because they're gonna look good on your resume. Like having Groundlings on your resume is a really good thing, or having any of those big reputable schools. And be careful for some of the ones that are not as good or reputable, that have a less good reputation. Don't put your money into that. If you have the money, put it into, something that is gonna help you and really, beef up that resume, beef up those skills, and teach you really good improv skills. Also, know that some of the Saturday Night Live folks came from there. So you want to kind of keep an eye out for that if that's your goal. But you already knew that if you wanted to be on SNL. All right, so you've got commercial, you've got improv, and now you want a good on-camera acting class, or you can also look for just a good acting class. You could do both of those simultaneously, or you could choose one or the other. There are really good acting classes that you just need to remind your instructors, hey, I want to focus on film and TV, because sometimes they might lead towards stage, but they're going to teach you really solid skills. Just be, like I said, careful of doing like a class that's just about doing stage, because they're going to teach you how to project and do things that you may not need to do on camera that could teach you skills that, if you're new, may be hard for you to kind of break those habits. So you can look at good schools like Ivana Chubbuck is a school that is really reputable. I'm currently taking classes with Gary Imhoff. He used to work at the BHP at Beverly Hills Playhouse. There's just so many good schools that you can take classes, or teachers you can take classes from. But again, do your research. Find a style that works for you also. If it's Meisner and method, or whatever your method, your style is, learn to do that really well. If you're in a class for like a couple of months and you're like, man, this just isn't my style, like I'm really not digging this, there's got to be a better way to do this, or a more like organic way for me to get to those tiers or whatever. Look for a different class. Ask around. Other students and actors are going to be your best resource for finding those classes. Also, there are other classes available that could be helpful, like an on-camera audition class that's not just commercial, but it's just auditions in general. You could do that, where a lot of times they'll record you, and then you'll get to watch it back and see what worked and what didn't work, so you can really learn about like where your eye line should be and things like that, because auditioning is a different job than being on camera. It's really strange, but as an actor, you're auditioning for things, and the way the audition works is not really how the job actually works when you go to set. So it's like two totally different skills, and you've got to nail them both in order to work. There's also singing classes, dance classes. You should probably get a gym membership. There's a lot of things, because this is your instrument, so you want to keep it in shape. You want to make sure that you're able to do all the things you need to do. Any sort of extra skill set that you have in that acting world is going to help you ultimately be a better performer, which is great. You could take a stand-up comedy class. You could take oh gosh, there's just so many classes out here, but you don't necessarily need to take every class under the sun. And you also don't want to run yourself down and really burn yourself out or make yourself not available for auditions and work because you're taking so many classes, you're working so many hours, you can't even go to auditions. So don't do that to yourself either. Like, find a couple of good classes, get in them, and really just, you know, be a grounded, good actor. The last couple of classes I'm going to mention to you are things that you don't necessarily have to take to be an actor, but boy, will they help you if you don't already know how to do this. So any sort of branding class that is reputable, like by someone who's really good, of course. All of these were with that caveat that like the person needs to be a good teacher or a good school, not just anything you find on like a quick web search or somebody that emails you because you're on a list. Like, don't just buy into that. But a branding class, like finding your brand, and also classes on the business of acting, like how to find an agent, how to market yourself. All those business classes are really, really good. And I also personally took an entertainment law course at Santa Monica College when I first moved out here so that I was more comfortable reading contracts. You'll have an agent manager for those things, but I just like to make sure that I'm comfortable with it myself. So I did that as well. And it was pretty inexpensive and really interesting. I learned a lot. Now I feel much more comfortable reading my own contracts and understanding what a lot of it means, even though I'd still want a lawyer to look over a really big one. Yeah, so that's kind of the gamut there. If you have taken other acting classes that you really like, or if you have a school or teacher you'd like to recommend, please write that in the comments below. And there's one other thing I want to mention about classes. So most good classes in the Los Angeles market will either allow you to audit or you'll get a chance to meet with a teacher and talk to them beforehand. Not all of them will, but definitely ask if you can audit or if they're having an open class or a free class coming up so you can check them out, because that way you get a feel for what's going on in the class before you jump in and spend a lot of money and dedicate, you know, a bunch of time to something that you don't really know anything about. So make sure you ask if they have an audit, which is like a free opportunity to come in and watch the class, or if they have a free or open class coming up that you can come and watch the class and observe the class. I highly recommend doing that. Most will, not all, but most will. So I hope you found this really helpful. I'm really excited to see who you guys are going to school with and who you're taking classes from. Well, thank you so much for watching. I will see you soon. Go be a light in the world.